Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today's tutorial is going to be focused on a channel banner. Now channel banners can be uploaded to any channel in your server. You upload them like you would any regular image, and then you can add text below them to neatly organize info channels or whatever other purpose you may need. Now this design, you're probably already familiar with some elements of it, and I did take some of this from a previous tutorial that I did. But this design implements that into a whole new look with these twin banners on the side and these various outcrops from this colored areas on the ends. I'm not really sure how else to explain it. Now this features anime scenery, but of course you can swap that out with anything you want. Artwork, scenes from movies, games, etc. Just whatever suits your needs. So, without further ado, let's get right into the tutorial. We're going to start off by going to File, New, and for the width, we're going to do 750 and the height, 350. Then click Create. Now we're going to come over to our rounded rectangle tool, create a new layer, delete the background layer, and we will be dropping down a rectangle. It doesn't matter the size, because we're going to come over to Properties and adjust it. Now if you don't see the properties window, go over to Window and scroll down to the bottom and click Properties, and it'll pop up around here, but you can drag it to the side or leave it as is, and from there you can have access to all of these following settings. Now we're going to start off by changing the corners to 18 pixels. We're going to get rid of the stroke and add a solid color, that color being the following: 3D 4956. Click OK. Now for the width, we'll be using 570, and for the height, 160. And we'll go ahead and drag this to the center. We can go ahead and click Ctrl G on our keyboards, and we'll call this the base area. Right click on the eyeball, and let's make this orange, just to keep ourselves organized. And I double clicked on the names to change the name of that folder or layer. Now we're going to create a new layer once again. We'll do Ctrl G and we'll call this the flags group. Go to the eyeball, let's make this red. Then we'll come back to layer 1. We'll go over to our rounded rectangle tool. We will swap the color to the following: 11BCC2. Click OK, and then we'll be using another color, and we'll add that off to the side so we can quickly access it, and that will be 00DEE6. Click OK on that. Now drop down a rectangle. Size does not matter because we're going to be adjusting it in properties once again. For the width, we're going to put it at about 56 pixels, and for the height at about 200. Let's see how that looks. Actually, get rid of that first and make this the base color, 11BCC2, and that was the one we added to the side. So click OK. Let's drag this over, see how that looks. And I might actually shave off 5 pixels, so let's put the height at 195, and that is perfect. Now I'm going to create a quick backup just in case I ever need it. I'm going to call this backup, and I'm going to hide that. This layer, I'm going to go to Blending Options, Stroke, make sure it is at 2 pixels, and we'll be using that second color, 00DEE6. Click OK, click OK. Now we can go ahead and drop in our texture. Make sure that is clipped. You can either right click, create clipping mask, or hold Alt in between and click with your mouse. This will put it at color burn with an opacity of about 75%. We'll call this the texture. Make sure we call this the base. And the texture, we're going to do Ctrl T on our keyboard and adjust this so it fits properly. Perfect. Now we'll create a new layer underneath the base layer. And this one is going to be a little tiny corner piece that's going to be over here. So we'll click at about there. We'll click at about here. Shift click across, shift click up, right click, make selection, click OK. Shift F5, color, and we'll be using that same base color we used over there. Click OK. Rectangular marquee tool, right click, deselect, right click on that new layer. Blending options, go to stroke, once again at 2 pixels. Now right click, rasterize layer style. We'll call this the pop outs back. And we will make some minor adjustments to it real quick. So I'm using my arrow keys while on the move tool, and I can move it back and forth like so. Perfect. So I moved it so it aligns just like that. Now I'm going to come over to my rectangular marquee tool, go across the bottom where it intersects with this gray area, and click delete. Now we can deselect that. And as for this layer, we'll go to image, adjustments, brightness, contrast. We will drop the contrast and drop the brightness. And now it looks as if it is behind that layer. And actually, I almost forgot. Come over to the space layer, copy layer style, clear layer style. This is why we made that backup earlier. Come over to your pen tool. Oop, I didn't rasterize it. Rasterize layer. We're going to click there. We'll click at about here, and then come all the way around, and we are going to make selection, click OK, and then delete on your keyboard. Then marquee tool, right click, deselect, then right click, paste layer style. And this is so we just have a cutoff effect across that bottom there. Now we can take this flag and we're going to do Control G, call this flags, we'll call this flag 1, make sure this is all red. Then we're going to take flag 1, do Control J, and we shall move this across a tad until it is about there. We'll call this flag 2. We're going to come over to our colors and swap to the following: A2, CA0, C. Click OK. Come over to your color replacement tool and just come over the entire thing. And right click, blending options, stroke, and change that stroke to that new color, just like so. Now for the spacing between these two flags, we're going to want about 22 pixels. So let's grab a ruler, rectangle tool. Let's draw this across. Oh, we need to swap that as well. So this is at 20 right now. So if we go to the flag, go over to our move tool and click twice, we are now at 22 pixels. Let's return to that flag real quick. Go to the pop outs, go to the same color replacement tool, and just go over that. It's just a quick way to swap the colors without having to go through all of this editing from earlier. And then as for the end here, we want about a 14 pixel distance between these flags and this end right there. So once again, let's measure that out real quick. Let's go to 14. That's a bit too far in, so take both of these flags, grab the move tool, and move it out to there. And that is perfect. They are both aligned as they should be. Now we can close these flags because we are done with them. So collapse that, reopen the base area, blending options, you'll go to stroke, add a, say, a 3 pixel stroke, and let's make it white. Click OK, click OK. And I actually forgot that we were going to add that stroke, so we need to move these flags up to compensate for that. It's no big deal. We'll just go to the move tool, click 3 times with our up arrow, and now they are properly aligned. For this space area, we can create a backup of it as well, just in case. We'll call this the backup and this will be just the base. We can hide the backup, and as for the base, we can go ahead and start adding our modifications to it. For the first step, we're going to be using the rectangles to get everything lined up. So go to Pure Whites, come over to your rectangle tool, make sure you are on white for the stroke. We have, hold up, I always hate it when it does that. If you're on that layer, it's going to start affecting that layer instead. So make sure you create a new layer. And this layer is the one we're going to be doing all those changes to. So we're going to be going and creating a random shape. For the sizing, we want it at 170 by 170. We want 2 pixels, and that is all good. Now Control T, move this around. Let's put this at about there, and then we will adjust it so that it lines up properly. Let's clip that on. And just to keep these other corners simple for us, we're going to right click, rasterize layer style, rasterize layer, go over to our marquee tool, come across just like so, do Control J, clip that on, then do Control T, go to the height and flip that. Then we will drag this down until it lines up. Perfect. Now we can merge that down, do Control J, Control T, flip the width, add a negative sign to the front of it, and then drag that across until it is there. Now we go ahead and clip this as well and merge that down, and we can call this the corners. Now we're going to rasterize this base layer. Now we're going to come over to this corner and click. We'll click at that corner. Now it makes a pretty good line all the way across. Then we'll come over to this corner, hold Shift and click. Then come to this corner and click across. Then come to the bottom and Shift click. Come over here and click across. Then over here, Shift click. Once again, click up. And then come all the way to the top and complete the selection. Now right click, make selection, and I'm going to do Control J. Drag that up, make sure the corners are still clipped. And this here, we're going to do Control G, call this the base, and we'll call this the left area. We're going to right click on this new section, go to Blending Options, Inner Shadow, and we'll be using the following settings: 64, 0 distance, 33 for the choke, and 5 for the size. Oh, not 58. There we go. Then we can go ahead and close that and drop in the image we'll be using. Make sure it is clipped. Call this the image. Control T. And let's adjust it until we're happy with where it is placed. That's good to me. Now we'll go to Filter, Blur Gallery, Field Blur, and put this at about 5 or 6. I might go with 5. Now we're going to be dragging in our dots pattern, move that in, and we're going to want it at about, let's say, that size right there. And now we're going to go blending options for this, color overlay, and we'll make this white. Okay, right click, rasterize layer style. Let's call this to dots, and we shall clip this as well, and swap the opacity to 50%. Now we're going to be dragging in our glass, put that on top, clip that as well, call this glass, and swap it to overlay, Control T, and we shall adjust this to where we need it to be. There is fine. Okay, aside from the text, this left section is done, so we can come back to the base area. We're going to start dragging in our various textures. So let's drop in this one, Control T, let's adjust it a tad and put it about there. For this, we want it as soft lights with the opacity at 35%. Next, we're going to be dragging in this texture. I forgot the name for what it's called. Low poly. I think that's what it is. And then we shall adjust that a bit till it's about there. This one we're just going to have at about 60% opacity. And then for our last texture, it'll be this one. Go ahead and drag that in, adjust that down, and we will have it as soft lights once I get there. Soft lights at, let's see, 65%. And that stroke for the outside is being covered up, so what we can do to fix that is right click, blending options, go to stroke, and swap this to inside, make it at 3 pixels. Perfect. Now we're going to go over to, let's actually name these texture. I spelled that wrong, that's fine. I'm going to create a new layer there, make sure that is clipped. Let's actually give both of these the yellow color and the textures a blue color, just so we can quickly find them if we want to make adjustments in the future. We're going to come over to our ellipse tool. Same thing, we're going to do 170 by 170. There we go. And let's drag this across, make sure it is centered. There we go, and just a tad past. Maybe a tad more. Perfect. Now we're going to return back to this base layer, go to our pen tool, where we'll click here, then we'll click there, and make sure you hold down after you click, you don't let go, so you can curve the line to match the curve of that. Then drag this back to the center, come over to the bottom, click there, same thing, pick a spot up here that's about at the ends, and curve this around, and drag that back to the center, then click to the top, right click, make selection, OK, Shift F5, oop, not Shift F5, getting into a bad habit here, Control J, we'll drag that out, we'll make sure we re-clip everything here, right click, create clipping mask, and I just clicked down here, held Shift and clicked up to select everything. And then we'll clear that stroke, clear layer style. We will do Control G, we'll call this the right section, between flags. Call that the base. We can go to the left area, we take all of this, do Control J, drag that over to there, and then just move it across. And same for the layer style, copy layer style, paste it right on that base, and it is good to go. Now we can collapse that because that is done. Left area is done, and we're making one final adjustment to the base. So right click on that, go to blending options, go to pattern overlay, and apply the following settings. Now as always, I'll have these patterns available for download in the description. So click OK, and now we can see a faint line pattern going across everything. So with that all out of the way, we can collapse all that and create a new layer, Control G, and this will be our text layer. Right click, let's make this violet. Now we're going to come over to this layer 1, make sure we're on the Forte fonts. at 109 pixels in size and using the following color for the text: 7BD0EC. Click OK. Let's call this rules as always. Let's drag this to the center. It is now centered. Right click, blending options. We'll first go to stroke. Make sure it's at 3 pixels and then 100. And then for the drop shadow, we want 47, 8, 0, and then 3. Click OK. Now we're going to return to this base area just real quick. Go over to the left side, grab this image, drag it up, make sure you reclip everything that was on clips. And to clean ourselves up a little bit, we can actually group all this as well and call this the main base. Now this, we're going to clip that on. We'll put this at a linear burn. And we will just adjust it until it's about there. Alright, that would mark the end for this tutorial. I am just slightly confused though as to why this font, which is the same exact font as this one, is so different. I only have one style of it, I believe. Yeah, just regular. So I'm not sure why it's appearing so skinny. That is very odd. Thanks so much for watching. I'm going to have another video popping up on screen soon to another great tutorial, and I hope you all have an awesome day.